Hey everyone, I'm Dominique,
I'm Dawn.
and this is this week's episode of Let's Talk About It. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today, we're going to be focusing in on a lot of our favorite Black artists and some of the sex crimes and scandals surrounding them. Because recently we've seen some new celebrities and political figures in the news and media for sex crimes. Um, Joining us today is going to be Taylor Elam, who is the creator of a podcast called The Recovered Files, which you can find on all major podcast channels, including Spotify, Apple Music, and many more. So, Taylor, we're so happy and excited that you're going to be joining us this afternoon.
Hey y'all, what's up? I'm
Hey,
so
Taylor.
excited. Yes.
All right. Yes. So prepare yourselves because we're going to get into the dark side of celebrity culture and how many of them have been exposed for some of the darker sides of, their fame. So getting right into it, like some of the sex scandals that have been major in the news recently are Michael Jackson in the past, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, which is more recent, and now even T.I. and Tiny are in the news. Right? They have accusations flying off the wall of being kidnapped, drugged, and sexually assaulted by them and people in their inner circle. And these are like common themes that we're kind of hearing like between like a lot of these celebrities and public figures. So which of these though were the most shocking and surprising to you?
Surprisingly for me, weirdly, it was R. Kelly.
Really?
Yes, I should have known. Like, I really should have known because if you listen to his music, you would probably think like, But I loved his music though. So R. Kelly was for me. It was me. R. Kelly took me down.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think for me, it was definitely Michael Jackson because I was like, not the king of pop, y'all.
Right. I feel that. I feel that. Like, so did you feel like any of them immediately you felt were guilty or not guilty? Like, were you?
I knew R. Kelly was guilty.
Yeah. That was the most surprising. You knew he was guilty.
No, it was definitely R. Kelly because I feel even with his music, once all of that happened and I went back to listen to it, I was like, oh,
yeah,
right.
Is that what he meant, or was he trying to? But I, especially R. Kelly, because of the Aaliyah thing, I knew about Aaliyah, so that kind of when it led into something else, I was like, oh, this might be really, really bad. Like it gets dark, it gets deeper. Things like that.
I don't know. Like I know this was like way in the past and already done with, but Bill Cosby totally shocked me, and I had a hard time. I had a hard time accepting accepting it. I was like, no, like he's America's favorite dad. Like, and like that was kind of like, I miss that era of sitcom, that era of like family and like that type of stuff on TV. It was so wholesome. And that was one of those shows. And so it was hard for me. And Michael Jackson too, like I agree, like King of Pop. Like it's so interesting though, because Michael Jackson kind of, I feel like, gets a pass in a way. Like I think a lot of people like don't talk about like the things that he's done versus, and they kind of like still entertain his music and stuff like that versus R. Kelly. What do you think about that? Like, do you think they should be held accountable on the same spectrum?
I mean, the thing with Michael Jackson is I think with his allegations, it seemed like a lot of the things criminally that they were trying to charge him with came after his death, which I don't think was really fair or right, especially when these cases were really set in like the 80s, especially with Bill Cosby and even R. Kelly in a way, like the 90s era that wasn't so 2000s and wasn't so liberated now. I feel like, you know how it's not tolerable or anything like that. I feel back then, I was like, did they really get away with all of this stuff? I just,
Right.
Yeah. So with Michael Jackson though, I feel like I don't know, his accusations didn't shock me, mostly because like he is the king of pop, great man, but he just rubs me the wrong way.
Mm.
like really like he's a great man, he's just a little creepy to me. So if I was a child, I think I would be scared too.
but do you think that's because of his looks though?
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with his looks, like everything to do with his looks, rather than who he is as a person. But it has a lot to do with his looks, and that's probably why he had the accusation. But when Michael Jackson died, it was always this conspiracy theory going around that Michael Jackson was worth more dead than he is alive. So it was like it made sense where like all of these accusations started popping up when he dies because that's all of his money.
But like, what does that mean necessarily? Like him being worth more dead than alive?
I guess because they already made him the king of pop. And I feel like that's like how it is with artists in general, that when you become a legend, like you can be a walking legend, but when you die, that's when your legacy actually starts.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what happened with Michael Jackson.
True. True.
Yeah, I agree. But what are you, okay, so comparing these different celebrities, like, what do you think is a deeper issue? Because now we even have T.I. and Tiny like popping up in the media. Like, do you think that like there's a deeper issue behind like this, like these sex crimes and these celebrities that get to this like certain status? Do you think there's like, what do you think is the bigger issue? Like, why are we keep having this repetitive news, you know?
I think an important factor could just be the industry. I feel like with the entertainment industry, it's a lot of glamour and, you know, sex and drugs and things like that. And for these celebrities, it's not just, you know, it's sexual abuse. That's the common theme. And I'm just like, so what's so held to that standard? Because even with these celebrities, of course they have entourages, of course they have, you know, people in their inner circle who aren't in the limelight in the front face. So it's like, if these things were going on, I mean, these allegations are 20 women, 30 women, and it's for all of these celebrities. It's like, where was everyone at? You know,
and a lot of the time, and a lot of those times those women and those people, they trust this person, like those children, those women, they trust these celebrities because of their status, because of who they are, because of what they have. And sometimes like even like, you know, maybe, you know, like if you guys watch the R. Kelly documentaries, I don't know if you guys watch those, but you know, talking about how he would offer them, you know, the promise of like a music career, and you know, that's not, you know, necessary. So, you know, and that's, you know, that was that was like, you know, what they talked about, you know, happening. You know, obviously that case is still going on, but still, you know, it's like that seems to be an issue in almost like this abuse of power, of knowing that you are and you have this thing. So what do you think, like, what do you think women like and these women who find themselves, and even like, you know, it doesn't even necessarily have to be on a celebrity scale, but I guess like women who almost or people in general, how can they kind of guard themselves from predators, from people who kind of abuse or have this about them? Like, what do you think women can do in general to just protect themselves from being targeted?
That's a hard question to ask, because I feel like no matter how much you try, if you're targeted, you're gonna be targeted. So I like you can always take precautions just depending on like the situation. But I don't know. It like really depends on the situation, on how like a woman would be able to handle herself. Like for the Bill Cosby incident, like I think he was like slipping stuff in their drinks. don't leave your drink around. Like, don't leave your drink at the bar. Not being too trusting, because you were saying like how we trust these people. Don't trust these people. I mean, these people are like
the doubt.
Yeah, like these people are in like they're in a lot of people's eyes. So everybody has like a different view of them. And I just feel like they are not to be trusted, because like you have like a big entourage around you. So I feel like it's just not trustworthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think honestly the best advice would just be to be aware. Be aware of your surroundings. Just be aware of your boundaries, because I think when it comes to celebrities too, there's a vulnerability that I guess between famous people and not famous people, you know, when you see them, you're starstruck, like, oh my God, I saw you on TV. You make me feel these emotions. And, you know, this was a
and it's easy to trust somebody like that. Like, oh my gosh, I trust him because I love him.
And it's not just women, and it's men have been targeted too. Like in Michael Jackson's case, the families gave access to their children, like their young boys. So, you know, kids especially, like it's hard to say like how to protect your children or how to protect yourself from this happening, because like you guys said, like anybody can be a target. No one's you know, limited. But do you think that this like can affect us on a grander like scale, like here, like these type of cases popping up in the media, like us kind of hearing about it? Do you think that that affects us on a grander scale?
I think it does. I think with the celebrities and the people that we grew up on, and I'm gonna tie this all in together, but even going back to the question of what can people do to just be more safe and prevent these situations, I think that people have to come to terms with the understanding of that the entertainment industry, or whatever these people present themselves as, it's a presentation. You know, just like we have social media and just like we have TV shows and we have music artists, how they present themselves could just be acting. When they go home, they could not, he's not T.I., you know, when he's at home, or how he cooks his meals, or what he does in his personal life. That's what's getting brought up too. And I think with Bill Cosby and the media, people get so attached to one image they see of somebody because that's their persona they put out in the world. So this must be who they are, you know, this must be just true. And I think how it affects us back on the community and back to these people we see growing up, I think it creates this smoke and mirrors of what do we consider an idol? I mean, what do we consider a role model, in the sense of saying that, you know, let's take, for example, JoJo Siwa, right? Most kids love that little girl. Most parents love that little girl for their kids. But at the end of the day, she goes home, and that could just be a very well persona. So trusting her so much as to, she's inspirational, she's here to teach, she's not here to harm. With other celebrities, I think we should just take that pressure and that hierarchy system of, this is who they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be this person for me that I can look up to, that I can aspire, instead of just taking them as an inspiration and then putting it back on themselves, you know? Like, I want to be someone like Bill Cosby's character, or someone he presented on TV. I don't want to be Bill Cosby. Does that make sense? Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think like too, in T.I. and Tiny's case, it sounds like they may have, you know, had like an open marriage or like something like that, maybe, you know, together, because they you know, they said that everything they did was consensual. So, you know, maybe they were inviting other women to the bedroom, and that, you know, people want to be close to fame. And same with like, you know, with MJ's case, you know, their families letting, you know, trust Michael Jackson with their kids. You know, they want to be close to that. They kind of desire that. But then you have to be careful. You know, you still, like you're saying, Taylor, is we can't put these people on a pedestal and make it seem like they're still human, and you still have to treat them like you would any other stranger. Like, would you just let your child go with this random person? No. You know what I mean? Like, you have to know, you know, who you're dealing with. And it's so unfortunate, because in a lot of these cases, like, people just, it's hard. Like, you can't put the blame on anyone because they, like, they were trusting, they felt comfortable in the situation, and whatever happened.
Whatever happened, happened.
Yeah.
It's sad. But so I want to know, so is it hard for you guys to basically like separate the crime from the person? So we love Michael Jackson, but did that offense like make you change your mind about him? Because I know a lot of people like change their mind about Bill Cosby. Like people went from loving Bill Cosby, loving everything that he does, to like hating him, like hating his guts.
I feel like, go ahead. You go ahead, Taylor.
No, go ahead, girl.
I feel like the person, absolutely, like I'll hold him accountable for what they did, but like with Michael Jackson's case, like I still find myself, I can enjoy his music and separate that from him. I think with R. Kelly though, it's a little harder because like you were saying, Don, when you go back and listen to the music, you're like, oh, okay, I see how this and it's harder to listen to it now, like knowing this stuff. So that's a little different. But Michael Jackson, he wasn't necessarily singing about, it wasn't, so it's easier for me to kind of, I think in that case, separate the art from the artist.
I want you guys to tell me what you think of this instance, because right now I am in the process, like naturally, of just getting back into Michael Jackson. Like, of course I knew him, I liked his songs when I was younger, but literally going through his catalog and seeing, wow, like I can appreciate him on a level that I couldn't have when I was younger. And then you have these allegations. Like, I think there was a documentary that came out for Michael Jackson, and it's like, I don't want to watch it. Like, I'll stay away from it because it's like, and I don't even know how it comes in terms of respect. Like, I do respect the people who have come out about allegations, because that's nothing to joke about. Because if someone is saying it, but it's just, for me, he was the king of pop. Like, at family reunions, they're playing Michael Jackson. And for me to be able to appreciate him now, I'm looking at his music videos, I'm looking at the art, and as an artist, I'm like, this is so dope. And I don't want to give myself.
And I feel that even in my classes, we always look at Michael Jackson videos just because the art in the videos are amazing. Like, guy was freaking amazing.
You can pick apart so many things, and for it to be like in the 80s or the 90s, I'm like, this is stuff that he was ahead of his time. And I don't want to watch the documentary because I'm still trying to hold on to the image that I have of Michael Jackson. But I'm like, does that make me wrong? Or like, what does that mean?
I don't think it makes you wrong. Let me tell you something. I know like Chris Brown doesn't have like any sex scandals, but like for a minute, like since the Chris Brown and Rihanna situation, all of that aired, I did not like Chris Brown like at all. But I actually watched his little like documentary thing on Netflix where he actually opened up about everything that has happened in his life. And it made me look at him different. Like, wow, dude, you're really just a human. Like you shouldn't, I feel like you shouldn't like compare crime to a person. I think we were talking about that. Like, you shouldn't make that person, okay, just because he has a crime, I feel like you shouldn't like hold that against him. And unless like maybe, you actually have proof, like R. Kelly, for example, you have solid proof, like people came up. But like for Michael Jackson, like thing, I think it was just a lot of accusations and they couldn't like actually really like press charges. So I just feel like you shouldn't, like, I feel like it should be separate. Like, I feel like it should be completely separate.
Yeah, I think too, what I was looking up on Michael Jackson, especially with his case, is with the little boys, they testified at the time when they were young, like they were actual kids. And it came out later that maybe in testimony that they admitted to, not telling the whole truth, or skipping around some parts. And after Michael Jackson passed, they brought it back up. They brought it back up to court, and they were trying to sue the companies Michael Jackson owned. And it just made me think, in a sense, it's like, so are you doing this against this man, or do you want what this man has? And I think it's something that's controversial, that it needs to be talked about, because
I think that goes back to Michael Jackson was worth more dead than alive.
Yeah. I totally agree. That's why I just think, I don't know. I feel like I can separate it, because with Chris Brown too, after that happened with Rihanna, I was just like, I can't do it. But then, what was the song? I don't want to play no games. Like, no.
No, I
watched his documentary. I love the documentary, man. If you guys have a chance, please go watch it. It's on Netflix. Like, you would like change your mind about Chris Brown. Like, honestly, like at least I did. I feel like I did.
Okay. No, I agree, because I was gonna say, like, I was gonna bring up Chris Brown per se, but I was gonna say even with other celebrities, like not necessarily sex crime related, but that, you know, maybe doing some questionable things in their personal life that, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I can still appreciate their art. And I mean, it's hard because their life is in the limelight. And like you guys are saying, there is, you know, the fine line between accusations and then like reality, which, you know, reality, like, you don't play about that, like you say, like that's real, like that happened. But, you know, it's hard. It's so hard when you have your life, your whole private life in the spotlight, and everyone can, you know.
Yeah, I see why Beyonce's so private.
And she doesn't say a word unless she
right.
Yeah, and even in one of her songs, she was like, to party with her, you have to sign a non-disclosure.
What?
Yes, like she said in one of her songs, like you have to sign a non-disclosure to be in a room with Beyonce.
Wow. Well, do you guys feel like you've ever completely canceled somebody because?
Yes, I canceled Kodak Black.
You canceled who?
Kodak Black.
Kodak Black. Oh my gosh, why?
Because I think he was just doing too many ignorant things where I was just like, you're making it really hard for me. Because he said something real disrespectful about, I guess, Lauren London right after Nipsey had passed. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
And I was just like, you know, but that wasn't his first offense. Like, he did it probably with somebody else, or I think he actually had a allegation of sexual misconduct. But even those things, I was just like, I saw his behavior and it was repetitive. And I think for most celebrities, if they're not apologetic, or if they're just like, this is me, this is out in the open, it's like, I don't know. Like, how do you guys feel about R. Kelly, like, claiming he didn't do what he did when it was so obvious?
I feel like R. Kelly is a character.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly,
he's like our generation's O.J. Simpson. Like, I don't know.
Did you guys see that video he did with Gail? I think it was on the morning show, and he was like, "Why are y'all doing this to me?"
No, what are you doing? Do you remember? Did you guys hear the song that he had wrote about how he didn't do it?
No.
I think so. I think I did. Was it like a long song, like an 8-minute song or something?
Yes.
You guys, I have not heard that.
Now that's how you know you guilty, right there. This man made a whole 8-minute song.
Lord Jesus. I just don't know. Oh my goodness.
I think I haven't canceled anybody. I did cancel Danny Lee at one point. Mostly because I think we had the conversation about Danny Lee and her insecurity showing because she was messing around with the baby or whatever. And, you know, I felt like they were cute before it started getting toxic. And so I'm like, okay, yeah. And then she dropped that song about Redbone or something like that. And I was like, yeah, no, like I'm not feeling you no more.
Yellow bone is what he wants.
Yeah, basically. Well, obviously it's not because he back with his baby mama. So.
Yeah.
But I canceled her for that moment though. It was just for that moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of anybody that I've canceled. Like, I don't know. I just be chilling. I don't be caring enough.
Yeah, y'all want me to be honest though? I know a lot of people are gonna hate me, but I canceled Meg the Stallion for a minute too.
Why?
For what though?
Because I felt like with that whole Tory situation, I honestly felt like it was stupid. I felt like it was PR. I honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, did not like believe her. I didn't believe her. Like I just was getting like weird vibes from the whole situation. And then what made me cancel her had nothing to do with her. It had everything to do with everybody else because when everything happened, Tory was literally saying nothing, but yet everybody hated Tory. Like Tory didn't like accept or deny what happened, but everybody hated Tory because Meg said that he shot her in the foot. Like that could go for anything. Like Barack Obama shot me, and y'all gonna hate Barack Obama because he shot me. Like that's how I felt about it. Like that's how I felt about it for real. Like it had nothing to do with her. It just had to do with like the people, like her fan base. Like they wanted to cancel Tory so bad, and I was not with it because I like Tory Lanez.
But that's funny. But I think it also goes into the thing of these celebrities, like when it comes to, I think just allegations in general, it's you never know like what's PR these days and what's not, because I think what's so different from like the 80s and the 90s, like now we are in a very in a liberated time. We're very vulnerable time. Everybody's emotional about everything.
Yes,
and I'm glad
absolutely.
don't get me wrong, but the awareness goes too far, and then you have these fan bases who are riding or dying behind it. And that's where that cancel culture comes in. So it's just like, what is necessarily hearsay or what's actually, you know,
the truth. What's actually the truth.
What's happening?
Exactly. Well, we are going to cut the segment for a little bit, and we have a special guest performance from DC. I am so excited. She has prepared you guys some musical selections and some poetry, so you guys get ready for this.
Hello, my name is DC, aka Destiny Sierra, and today I will be performing 2 songs and a poem. This first song is for my mama. It's called Letter to My Mama. Ma, I love you and I appreciate you, and this is for you. Let me tell you about this lady that is spiritual, that couldn't have any kids, but I became a miracle. She brought out the best in me. My future is bright, that's why she named me Destiny. She already knew, strongest lady I'll ever know. My best friend to the end for sure. I won't be satisfied till I make the meals for her. I won't be satisfied till I put a house on the hills for her. Mama, I thank you for always being by my side, my side. Mama, I thank you for always being there. By my side. You've been there since day one. When everybody switched up, you stayed there. You taught me how to be a queen, and I'm getting it by any means. Yeah, you've been there since day one. When everybody switched up, they stayed down. You taught me how to be a queen, and I'm getting it by any means. Yeah, somebody told me I was made for her, and she was made for me. See, a queen raised me, and the apple don't fall too far from the tree. I said the apple don't fall too far from the tree. She taught me how to be strong. She taught me how to keep holding on, and I'ma work, keep fighting, keep that strive, so we can make it to that day when you're by my side on the Grammy and the Oscar stage. Thank you. And the next song I'm going to be performing is called I Am Going Up. Drug addict woman, drug addict man, they created me, so glad they didn't raise me. I could've turned out crazy. And lately, I've been thinking about my background, but I would never let them make a sound. When you're down, they don't know where to be found, but when you're up, it's when they try to come around. I try hard not to blink, don't wanna miss when the snakes hiss. Hard times, I'm just waiting for the bliss. Have you ever been alone in a room and thinking about the loved ones gone too soon? Sleepless nights, I'm up thinking, fighting my demons, trying to figure out the reason. Why me? You don't become a legend overnight. Baby steps, you gotta prep. And I'ma go hard and go towards stardom. I'ma shoot up like a rocket. No, you can't stop it. I made it an oath and watch my growth. I'ma blossom, but always remember that I started from the bottom. And I'ma stay humble. The haters I used to care. And when they talk, all I hear is mumble. And let the demons know, let's get ready to roll. I ain't letting up, I'm steady bombing these haters' heads. I'm mind blowing. They want me to stop, but I'ma keep going. Catch my drift. If they wanna switch lanes on you, let them switch. Gotta keep driving, gotta keep striving. Stuff I used to trip over, now I walk over, and I got my head on straight. Call me a soldier. It's crazy how I still have it good heart, even though too many people can do it apart. The people's knocking at my door. You know I had to ignore it. You know I had to ignore it. The people's knocking at my door. You know I had to ignore it. I'm going up. You know I had to ignore it. I'm going up. Thank you. And this poem I'm about to perform is called A Woman with a Vision. I am a woman with a vision. Talking down on me? So you ready for my eyes to go missing? Close my ears, no, I don't listen. My life, I am the only narrator. They tried to scribble on my paper. I turn the pages and make the changes. Change the narrative, because it's only my perspective and God's. The positive odds is the only thing I see. I'm writing down I am. Gotta put great on that line. Yes, I'm filling in the blank. I'm gonna make many mistakes. Like a movie, I'm going through the takes. Take one, take two. I'm not giving up till I finish with a W. Hand me the ticket and admit one. I don't commit to it for fun. I commit to it for the grind and the outcome. First time hitting the booth, I was 10, and ever since then, I knew that's where I belong. Thank you so much. I am an upcoming artist, and my objective as an artist is to inspire people through my music and my poetry. I have a new single coming up called Run the Show, so be on the lookout. You can follow me on Instagram at DestinySierra_01. Thank you so much.
I need that song for Mother's Day, period.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing.
I
Was
know.
so
I was
amazing.
cheesing the whole entire time. I'm like,
Thanks.
Yes, I'm over here lit. I'm like, period, go off, sis.
Yes. Yes, she is so incredibly talented. I first saw her perform my monologue, and she's an actress too. She's just a triple threat. She's so amazing. So thank you, Destiny, for coming on and blessing us with all of that. Oh my God. Thank you.
That's nice. I love that.
Yes. Okay, so getting back to our topic, we talked a lot about, kind of how we felt about the art and kind of possibly giving people the opportunity to be proven guilty. But at some point we got to hold them accountable. So how can we hold artists accountable? We talked about, possibly still listen to the art, but is that how can we hold them accountable?
That's kind of hard. I feel like that's what cancel culture tries to do is hold
Right.
people accountable, but it's in like the meanest way possible.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like with these allegations, especially going to court and law, like, is that the best way to hold them accountable? Is to, because with celebrities, if they do hold themselves at this on this higher pedestal or this higher status, you gotta hit people where it hurts them, and maybe that's money. Maybe that is taking them to court and really just, getting their voice heard or getting them back in the same place to say, hey, you did this to me and it's not okay. So what are we doing next to make sure that like I'm okay? But as far as, I don't know, I feel like that is a hard question
Yeah,
because
I mean, I think like Taylor, like you were saying, like just holding them accountable, like with their fans. Like artists are nothing without fans, so it's kind of easy if you can just let like the public know, like this is what's going on with this person. Then of course, it's up to their fans because in order to hold an artist accountable, you have to like basically, like she said, hit them where they hurt, and their fans is basically where it's gonna hurt, that fan base.
Right. Right. I think
Yeah.
too, to bring up an example, when you were talking about Megan and Tory, when people were going against Tory, he had dropped an album and people were not messing with it. And I guess, that affects with his streams and things that can come with him. So I think it is dependent on the fan base and us people, because you really can't have a celebrity one without the other. But it's just, I think how we hold them accountable is holding ourselves accountable. Like if we don't agree with what they're doing, then it's like, okay, this is the line. It's not, let's hate them this week and then get past it, because what does that do in the long run, right?
Nothing.
It's definitely important that celebrities like are held accountable the same way a non-celebrity would be, because they're still committed the same. If they, committed that crime, they should be held accountable for that crime, because any other person would. They shouldn't be on a pedestal and get in there and get away with things that the regular person can't. I don't think that should be the case. But I agree with you. Like, my next question is going to be: is it possible for fans to influence artists? And I think that is a great example of that, because like you said, them not engaging in his content. Now he's gonna have to look on it and look at himself like, all right, like I don't, if that was the case and that actually happened, I'm not gonna put myself in a situation. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not going to do this because I see now my fans, they ain't gonna fuck with me if I'm on something. You know what I'm saying? So that's important. Do you think there's any other ways that as fans we can influence artists and hold them accountable, other than not streaming their music or engaging in their concert? Do you think that's the main way to like?
As a fan, kind of.
I mean, ultimately, like I feel like as a person, they have to hold themselves accountable. Like we can only go so far.
Yeah.
Like they're still a person. They still have to get in their head. That takes responsibility.
Right.
So, okay, so what as a society that we could do to influence artists, and not just like for bad or whatever, to cancel them, like we'd be ready to do, but to just have them on a platform. Like, why do we basically just spotlight the abuse? Like, how can we influence them to do better things for society?
Right.
That's hard. That's a hard question.
I think it's just, that's such a hard question because there's so many things that, well, for T.I. and Tiny, for example, they have these allegations, but in the past, whether it be for Thanksgiving or whatever, they have done community work. So it's hard to really like, as a person wanting to, the one out of the whole, because it takes everybody to work and get these things done. It's just, how do you gauge their moral compass? Like, how can you really say that, okay, this is something, as your fans, we would appreciate if, you did this to support this, that, and the other. Who's to say if they're going to comply with that, or what extent they would comply with that. So I think it's hard to hold them accountable because we can only really hold them accountable from a distance,
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know if I feel like, I don't know if the media puts too much spotlight on the abuse. Like, I think that that we've made a lot of progress as far as, like, especially like survivors and victims of abuse, as far as like getting a spotlight and getting their voices heard. So it's hard to say, that it's hard, because even though it is you have two parties here. You have that celebrity, and then you have the people who are making these allegations, or the victims of this. And for them, I think the media absolutely should continue to put that spotlight, just because I feel like they deserve to have their voice heard. And for so long that wasn't an opportunity, that wasn't the case.
Also,
but then go ahead.
Go ahead, girl.
Okay. I was just gonna say, then you also, like, not all of these celebrities that we're talking about have yet been charged, or like actually been charged with the crime. So some of them are still, like Tia and Tiny, these are new allegations. They haven't yet been charged. So for all we know, we don't know if they're guilty or not. So in that case, it's kind of hard to say, putting too much on us, because it's kind of unfair to the person, because they're supposed to be, it's under our government, they're supposed to be seen not guilty and so proven guilty. So we're putting a lot of spotlight on that, and kind of not giving them the opportunity to prove themselves. I think that's kind of disruptive in our system. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a way, I just thought about it, because it's a question you got to kind of think about, like, how can we be accountable?
Right.
I think solidarity. There's a solidarity in numbers, and having someone stand behind you. And I think when it comes to these celebrities, it's weird how you see how fans jump to the defense of a celebrity that they don't even know. Like
Meg Thee Stallion.
Know on a personal level. If someone's coming out and saying that I had this experience, it was unpleasant, and I have trauma because of it, and I have decided to come out now. Why, as people, we don't jump to defend them or stand behind them? Like, you know what? They could be like that. You know what? And even if you're not right, I'm gonna stand behind you until we figure out that it's not right. Because the celebrities, they already have their entourage. They already have their people with lawyers and friends who are gonna say they would never do that. So it's just why, I don't know. I feel like it needs to be a solidarity. I feel like people.
I feel like we should take a step back as people too, because like you're saying, we can only do so much at a distance. But then we don't know all the facts of the case, and it's not really up to us to determine whether or not they're guilty or not. It's really up to the judicial system. So we should really not be jumping on either, because that's kind of damaging, the process. And I think that, honestly, like sometimes, like the best thing to do, I think, would be to not do anything, to just let them, not be trying to, be the judge, jury, and executioner. I don't know. So I think. I don't know. Like after I was thinking the same thing with you, like before I thought about it, I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't.
No, you're right. You're right.
No, but I think that there definitely still, though, is a bigger issue with, like, the idea of this abuse of power, or maybe, like, trusting someone and then, kind of being exploited or exposed for that trust. So we are going to actually show you guys a clip from a new film that's coming out called Exposure by Joel. He is the creator of Ivy Vision, which is his production company. And this is one of the films that's being marketed and produced through his company. It's a great film that he's been showing on tour around the country, and he's going to be having a stop here in Savannah tonight, actually. And tickets are still on sale. But I'm going to allow him to go ahead and talk a little bit about it in the video clip, and talk a little bit about how, like we're talking about, you can trust somebody, and then, they can exploit that, or, sometimes it's hard to know who to trust. So.
Alrighty.
My name is Jewel Hamrick. I am the CEO and founder of Ivy Vision, also director and writer of Exposure. Just wanted to give you guys some more information about the film and about the screening this Saturday. So the film is actually about 22-year-old Marcus Carter, who's a photographer. He's openly gay, and he ends up submitting a collection of photos of his down low or DL lover, Levi, to a photography competition, not necessarily without his consent. So it was very much, what stemmed this was a matter of things. It wasn't supposed to be it's actually my senior thesis, but it wasn't voted in to be my senior thesis. But God has other plans, and I feel like it's a story that should be told. The root of the story is about just young love and experiencing someone that doesn't, or experiencing a situation that someone doesn't necessarily feel or doesn't necessarily take the right way. Our two main characters, one is in love with the other one, and the other one is not, or is not comfortable with being in that state with that other significant other. So it's kind of a sticky situation, but it's real life. It's a very much universal theme that I feel can hit a lot of points, not just because you're gay or if you're straight. I think it fits if you just are looking for love, or you have a love for someone or something, and it doesn't necessarily love you back, or it doesn't necessarily have the mutual feelings that you are looking for. So I definitely hope you guys can come and check it out here in Savannah. It's going to be at the Savannah Harbor, at the Westin Savannah Harbor and Resort and Spa on Hutchinson Island, which is right over the bridge. We're super excited to have it there. Shout out to the Westin for letting us have the event at your location. Tickets are still on sale. You guys can get your tickets on ivyvision.com/tour. It's ivvizn.com/tour. And you guys want to get your tickets now. They are trickling in slowly. So definitely should come out. It's going to be a really nice time. We are going to be honoring the photographer of Exposure. Her name is Emerald. And we're going to be sitting down and having a chit chat with her. We are also going to be sitting down and talking back with the cast of Exposure. So we're going to be talking about with Shakeen, Khalil, and Amari, and they're all going to be back in Savannah discussing the project and what they have on deck for you coming this year. So we're super excited, and thank you, Dom, for letting me come onto your show and share my good news. We are super excited, and we hope to see you on Saturday. Much love.
That was great. I'm super excited.
Yes.
I'm super excited.
Yes. It's time to be in Savannah.
Yes, right. He is so, so sweet. Oh my God, I love him. He is a SCAD graduate. He's just so talented, and I'm really excited for the event tonight. And like you said, it's going to be a showing and a networking event, so it's going to be a great opportunity to get to know a lot of the great artists right here in Savannah. So I'm excited. Definitely get your tickets if you can. But on that topic, like he was talking about with, trusting people, that sort of thing. Just to close out, I think that, like we were saying, it's really hard to know like who to trust. And sometimes, you know, artists too, they can kind of with their power, you know, willingly or not willingly, you know, influence a lot of young people, or, you know, older people, anybody, you know, and even in your personal lives. So, you know, it's a tricky thing. I think there's a lot to talk about on this subject. But we are getting close to closing time. So do you guys have any last thoughts on this topic before we close out?
I feel like abuse of power goes like so deep, like not even just entertainment, like politics.
Yes.
Yeah, like I feel like abuse of power is like the biggest thing ever, because power, like people are really power hungry, like power.
And they're greedy on top of that.
Greedy, yeah.
It's like they're power hungry, and then they have so many other things that add on top of it. It's just, it's a recipe for disaster. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's something that's actually worried me and like kept me up at night. Like, why is the world we live in, despite, you know, the industries and pockets of the world, why is everything so in a hierarchy system of power?
Yeah.
It's crazy how it affects in our lives, like daily. Like you see it. It's just, and it's like, what do we do to undo it? Like undo so many years and so many, you know, mental and physical, just mechanical ways of just getting that power. Like do you think up and coming artists who blow up overnight, do you think when they get inserted into this new world, can they be influenced by that abuse of power and then send it on generation through generation?
Most definitely.
It's like, what can we do? Yeah.
No, yeah, that's so true. I think as artists in general, like you know, as an artist, you accumulate, you know, your fan base, your supporters, and even if it's on a small scale, you know, or even if, you know, you're a teacher, you know, you have people who look up to you, you're, you know, any position of power, you have to be aware of that power, for one, and recognize the fact that you do have influence over the people who are watching you, who are looking up to you. And thus, like, you have to be careful. Like you can't let it get to your head. And I think, and you also can't get too caught up in the moment, I think too. You have to just know like everything. Like if you get too caught up in the fame of it all too, like, you know, celebrity culture, or you get too caught up in the power hungry of it, like you were saying with like greedy people, I think that's a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys, that wraps up the end of our show. Thank you for watching, you guys. And I do want to give a special thank you to our musical guest, DC. Girl, I'm going to be booking you for Mother's Day. And be sure to check out Jewel 5 Hammock and the new film showing, which is tonight, starts at 6:30. You can get your tickets online. And it's at the Westin Hotel in Savannah. Please be there. It's going to be a great opportunity if you can. So tune into our next show. Tune into our next show next Saturday at 1 p.m. I forgot something. Tune into Watch Dogs, 7 p.m. Facebook Live and YouTube Live tonight at 7 p.m. on All Things Relevant Media. Our CEO does the Watch Dogs, great show. Please tune into it at 7 p.m. So yes, you guys, thank you for joining us. Oh, and thank you, Taylor, for being our third co-host. It was so nice.
Shout out to you, Star. She's going to be with us this week, but we love you, Star, Dacia. And also, one more thing, we are actually going to be streaming Jewel's event tonight too. So if you aren't able to make it live, ATR will be streaming it. So thank you, ATR, for that. But thank you guys for tuning in, and you can follow me on _Melanique _.
Yeah, and you can follow me at Dawn King with 3 underscores at the end.
All right. Oh. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Calamite with you and 2 Y's.
Yes.
Thank y'all for having
Thank you guys.
us.
Thank you guys so much. Bye. See you next week.